Good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking time to join this webinar today. My name is Aparna, and I work as a product analyst at ManageEngine. Over the next 30 minutes, we're going to be discussing about the top priorities for IT service desk managers in 2018. Was digital transformation happening with AI, big data analytics, enterprise service management? We ran a quick survey and asked IT service desk managers what their priorities are for this year. And we received some really surprising responses. But before we get to that, let me do a quick introduction about the company that I work for. ManageEngine is the enterprise IT management division of Zoho Corporation. It has over a dozen of applications in IT management space, ranging from service management, endpoint management, AD management, network server, application monitoring, etc. So we're basically being the one-stop shop for all things IT management. Service Desk Plus is the flagship product of ManageEngine. It's ITIL-ready helpdesk software with extensive asset and project management capabilities. We've been in the industry for over 10 years, and more than 100,000 helpdesk technicians use our software to run their service desk. Now, let's get to the topic, shall we? So what is the top priority for IT service desk managers that really surprised us was getting the basic helpdesk functions right. Now that's interesting, right? Even as the expectation of service management team is to keep pace with new trends, ride digital transformation wave, but unfortunately, most ITSM budgets focus only on keeping the lights on, right? So while they need to balance between technology disruption and digital transformation while dealing with the actual IT service management tasks. Now, everyone agrees that ITSM is the foundation on which new technology can be leveraged across enterprises. The general argument is that the foundations that help IT helpdesk management have been covered in the best practice frameworks. So you follow those, you're all set. Now here's an interesting stat. We rolled out a survey in 2017 called Future of ITSM Survey that revealed that only 24% of the respondents think that existing ITSM best practices have kept up with the changing IT and business landscape. More than 75% feel that frameworks are still quite old. So this basically means choosing between the right, choosing being right versus doing what's right. So let's get back to the basics really and start things offline. Identify how you're gonna conduct your service management practice and what are the information that you require and what is the time scale that you have to do your activities, and who is the one who would be approving, who are the major stakeholders, and what are the particular action that needs to be done. When you have this framework ready, you can easily move online. By moving online, what we mean is basically leverage automation. Why not implement an ITSM toolset, right? You've got plenty of tools out there that can help you implement what you've worked out on the drawing board. Service catalogs, workflow automations, service SLAs, notification, etc. A little of method and a little of automation can help you go a long way in getting the basics right. As the enterprise infrastructures increase in complexity, The processes in the process and ITSM tools need to manage them also get complex, right? This is particularly true for IT change management, where navigating changes becomes increasingly difficult due to disparate processes, outdated tools, and limited visibility on the outcomes. With all these hardships, many IT teams have decided to bypass IT change management processes. However, poorly implemented changes put business continuity at risk. Don't you agree? The solution is to simplify change management process, use flexible ITSM tools that allow IT services teams to design change processes of all sizes, of all complexities, with ease and clarity. The bottom line is basically to get the bigger picture right. Have clarity on from the change submission, when you request a change, to implementation, to review. Have broader visibility using CMDB so that you have a better control of whenever a downtime occurs, if in case the downtime occurs. Change flow workflows like these help IT teams get a bird's eye view of what's happening at every step. You can define status, you can define states, you can also notify appropriate people, get approval from the stakeholders, and manage your calendar. Plus, when change management works in tandem with CMDB, you get a better visibility of the impact that a particular change has over the businesses. That's a very good metric to have, right? Plus, when change management works in tandem with CMDB, you get better visibility on the impact and also improve certainty in your change implementations. Quite a few service desk managers want to embark on an actionable analytics strategy this year. One trend that we are seeing in IT service management is the growing awareness of the difference between metrics and analytics. The realization that metrics are just informational, they provide data, but doesn't offer strategic insights. On the other hand, analytics tells you stories. Successful analytics can actually generate actionable insights and create better customer service. Now, let's look at the list of questions in this slide that help you differentiate between analytics from metrics. Where are the specific applications deployed? That's data. How many different operating systems and versions are running on desktop? Do the installed software match the purchase licenses? Do we use all our licenses effectively? So you sort of get the difference, right, between metrics and analytics. But just to set the context straight, let's take a case study. A real case study where a particular service desk, IT service desk, saw this compliance chart. As you can see that the SLA compliant request for April 17 was considerably lower than the other months, while the technician load ratio was also quite peaking during the same period. But then the request inflow was pretty much the same. So what really caused the SLA compliance? What really caused the hit in the SLA compliance? Well, if you look at the emergency changes that was handled, you see that there was a lot more during April than compared to March. When these IT Service Desk Manager investigated the issue, they found out that the reason was because April was a financial year and they wanted to make sure they completed a lot of changes before moving on to the next year. And this caused an increase in emergency changes. So, in order to avoid all of this, what kind of strategy can you apply to your IT service desk? Here are 5 steps to achieve actionable analytics strategy. First thing is you need to list down the questions you need answers for. For example, do you want to have 99% SLA compliance? Do you want to look at what is the SLA compliance and why are we where we are? The next step is identify your audience. The analytics that apply to IT Service Desk Manager, that helps IT Service Desk Manager, is completely different from the one that CIO requires. Right? So you need to understand the audience so that you can outline the purpose for why you're collecting the data. So when you know why you're collecting the data, you need to know how you're going to collect the data. So understand your data sources. And next thing is, if there's going to be a tool that's going to help you do this with ease, might as well use it, right? One feedback that we consistently receive from service desk managers is that in spite of years of problem management in place, the number of major incidents simply doesn't see a tangible decrease. And a key goal of IT Service Desk Manager in 2018 is to ensure the stability of their IT infrastructure. That brings us to problem management. The exercise to identify the root cause of the issue that show up symptomatically as incidents. Here are some of the problems that some of our customers deal with when it comes to problem management. First thing is delayed and long-winded investigations. Sometimes when you start looking at a problem, it might not have an end, right? And next thing is the documentation is inconsistent or inaccurate, and therefore it's not available for others to use. Lack of communication is quite important because as service desk technicians, we deal with a lot of other teams as well. Lack of streamlined task management. Sometimes it's best to involve, sometimes it's best to involve 2 or more people, and it's a good idea to allocate tasks. When that's not there, we probably end up doing very similar efforts. And all of this results in, when you look at it, there's no sustainable improvement, right? You feel like you did a lot of work, and yet when you all put it together, you have nothing to show. Understand that there are 2 things to problem management. You need to understand there are 2 roles, that is problem managers and problem administrators. Problem administrators have the governance, they take care of the reports and scorecards and process improvements, whereas problem managers are the ones who are there on the IT service desk and getting the fix ready, right? Now that you understand the rules that problem management processes has, let's start looking at the processes. We have standard processes such as Six Sigma and agile methodologies. Why not just use it for your IT service desk, right? When you put the people and processes together, you have a system so that where you should be able to measure how many RCAs, root cause analysis, was done within the first 1 day, within 1 week, and do you have too many backlogs? It's a good idea to measure, to know if you're heading the right direction. With all of these, it's easier for you to find the gap, right? When you measure, you're going to find the gap. Like, what are we missing? Are we missing processes? Do we need more skills, or do we need more soft skills that are pretty important when it comes to documentation, right? And conflict resolution. So when you also have the culture of learning, the result is there's going to be a significant reduction in major incidents. One of the big priorities for service desk management teams in 2018 is the task of taking IT service management best practices to other departments in the organization. The IT service desk is not the only place where your end users seek help, right? There are several areas in your organization, like HR, facilities, finances, which if you know it or not, but actually battle problems that are very similar to IT service desk. These issues basically include like unorganized request management, insufficient processes, productivity leakage due to lack of information flow, etc. So when you really think about it, IT teams are not that different from the other business service departments in your organization, and yet IT teams are better prepared because they have ideas and best practices. But what if you bring them together? Unify all of your service management experience to one place. What if the experience need not be different for when you seek help from HR versus when you seek help from IT service desk, right? What if they're not so different? So the key goal here is to have one portal to log and track requests from all the departments. So be it employee onboarding by HR, providing travel assistance by travel department, or procuring office tables. All of this in one single unified portal. And the benefits for having a enterprise service management is plenty. But a major benefit is that it gives a consistent end user experience and makes the whole process of service management very seamless across the whole of your enterprise. And you simply have to copy paste this ID standard and best practices, right? You don't have to separately create a different practice for each of the service departments. So for example, you can create a separate instance for your help desk, facilities, etc. And imagine your employee logging into one single portal to access facilities, HR help desk, and your IT help desk. Wouldn't that be a great way to handle service management in your organization? As digital transformation brings the winds of change across organizations, improving in efficiencies and changing customer experience, IT organizations need to be prepared to harness the benefits of this disruption. If we had to tell you what digital transformation can do to IT, then this is probably going to help you understand the significance. The cost to provide IT support to a user by Facebook is $1, whereas many enterprises spend about $70 just to provide one end user password reset. So the scope for improvement using digital transformation is humongous. That means you can take some of these technologies like AI, mobility, big data, IoT, cloud, and use them to bring more efficiencies to your organization. You can deliver deeper and contextual integration among your business functions. You can also have a personalized applications for your users, and you can basically scale along with your business. If we were to map or contextualize tech with service desk operations, here's something that could be the case. So you can have intelligent routing, so tickets can automatically go into a technician queue or a department queue, and there can be an automatic categorization of incidents. On the other hand, it can also provide contextual knowledge. So search console with conversational chatbot. Imagine if your end user is seeking help, and your portal, the search portal, works just like Google. That means you know what he's looking for even before they finish typing, right? And the next amazing thing that these technologies like predictive analytics can do, is identify anomalies in your organization, in your IT. Something that probably slipped from your data, from your metrics, but intelligent programs can literally detect anomalies even before it occurs. That's going to help you provide great services and guarantee business continuity. A key priority for service desk managers for this year is compliance. Right? When you think about compliance, it basically has two dimensions: audit and privacy. We still see so many IT organizations grapple with non-compliance to software audits and paying hefty penalties, with so many vendors having so many complex and different licensing terms, not to mention the frequent changes in the class terms. IT organizations spend a ton of money either trying to stay compliant or paying up with penalties. Well, it's all about managing software and licenses in one place. Here are some simple steps to ensure that you stay software compliant. Study the existing software and licenses. Choose license type that will suit your organization needs. Reconcile licenses if need be, and finally ensure that software compliance by either purchasing new license or deleting existing software. The second part to this compliance is compliance to privacy regulations. As you all know, that privacy regulations newer privacy regulations are getting rolled out by the day. The GDPR in the EU, POPI in South Africa, or YESR in Saudi Arabia. Piracy is becoming a top priority for IT teams, and the priorities of the service desk managers are twofold. First is to ensure that the service desk itself is compliant to these new regulations. The second is being the driver for the privacy initiatives across departments, be it CRM or ERP. service desk managers are looking to act as a broker or enabler in getting organizations compliant to these regulations. With that, we come to the end of the presentation. To do a quick recap of the top priorities for service desk managers, the first things is to get the basics right, and you need to be able to manage risk and change and use analytics to improve efficiencies in your system and ensure stability through problem management, and take service management beyond IT to all the other business service departments like HR, facilities, legal, etc. And really spearhead digital transformation right from IT service desk and achieve compliance. I hope you enjoyed this webinar. I hope you found this webinar informational. Thank you for joining me today. If you like the webinar, give us a shout out in social networks. We are ME_ITSM, and we're available on Facebook as well. Or if you would like to reach out to us, ask any questions, or you have any feedback, you can mail us at hello@servicediscless.com. Thank you so much.